So, yep, I think everything is working. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Reem AbouElenain. I'm from Amideast. I work as a language instructor and also as a trainer in Amideast. And Lena, I'm just going to mute you. I'm sorry about that, but thank you for coming in. Just a little bit about Amideast. Amideast is an organization an American organization that is not for profit, and we exist in about 20 centers in the Middle East. And our mission is basically to connect people from the United States with people in Egypt, and at the same time provide English language instructions and also information about test preparation, and also advising when it comes to traveling and studying in the United States. So this is basically us in in a nutshell. A little bit about me. I have more than 10 years of experience in the field of education and higher education. Relevant to this webinar, I have taken the TOEFL test 3 times. So I'm kind of an expert in this area. I've been also teaching TOEFL, GRE, and Gmat for about 6 years now. And I'm going to take you on a journey on how is it like, and also some information about this test. Okay, so this is basically me. So today I'm going to focus on 3 tests that we offer in Amideast. We offer a number of different tests in Amideast, but I'm going to focus on 3 tests. And the reason why I'm focusing on these 3 tests is because they're the most in demand. So we have a ton of people, we have a ton of people coming in to take our TOEFL test. We have also a lot of people taking the GRE and Gmat tests. Okay, so I think the TOEFL, a lot of you are familiar with. The GRE and Gmat, I'm not sure, but people in the field understand these tests, and I'm going to talk about them. And who knows, maybe you would consider taking the GRE or the Gmat in the future, and this would be helpful for you. Okay. So before I start, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. You can answer me in the chat box, or if you want, you can open up your mic and you can just speak to me directly. I'm always happy to hear your voices. So my question is, do you plan to take any of these tests soon? Do you plan to take the TOEFL or the GRE or the Gmat soon? And if so, what is the purpose? What is your purpose of taking the test? Why do you want to take this test? So you can type it in the chat room, or you can open up the mic to speak to me directly. Anyone? Oh, someone is actually, don't draw on the don't draw on the presentation, please. Please just type in the chat box. So we have someone saying to continue my education. Okay, to continue your education where? Okay. Yes, Ahmed?
Hello.
Hey.
I want to take Toefl Ibt, but really my problem, I am scared to speak English. When I speak English, I felt I saw ghost. Oh my God, yani.
Yes.
I want. If I saw ghost, not afraid of any. But when I saw, when I speak English, really, I forget everything.
Yes.
But if I speak myself, really, I can't speak too much, yani. But really, my problem is speak English.
Okay, so speaking is the biggest thing.
Specific if I speak with teacher English, ya kharabi.
To judge, we're not here to judge. thank you for sharing this. I know that speaking poses a huge challenge for many students. And by the way, English teachers are the kindest people, and they never judge. And we just want to help you and assist you. But thank you so much for coming in. And I would say that you did very well. You were speaking well. Yes, you were nervous, but you speak very well. Okay, so we have someone here says applying to universities abroad. Yes, TOEFL is used to apply for universities abroad. Yes. Okay, so you want to take TOEFL. So for those of you who want to apply for universities abroad, have you thought about taking also the GRE or the Gmat? Because it's also a requirement sometimes. Or you've never heard about these before?
Actually, I think that, sorry. Actually, I think that TOEFL is more requirement, more than GR or GMAT. By the way, not only abroad, actually in local university here. If you're going to prepare for your master, it must be mandatory to have a TOEFL before you are registered.
Yes.
As well. I met several times, very actually.
This is true. This is true. And even here right now in Egypt, we hear about a lot of people taking the Gmat to take the MBA, for example. So it's becoming more and more common. So yes, definitely.
Yes. But actually, most of our universities is focused on TOEFL or IELTS, by the way.
Yes, TOEFL or IELTS. I agree, yes. So TOEFL is the most common test, I agree. And today I'm actually going to walk you through the differences between TOEFL, the GRE, and the GMAT. They are completely different tests for completely different purposes. And maybe you're going to also understand why TOEFL is highly demanded in Egypt and in many countries around the world. Yes, okay. So thank you for sharing this information. It's really helpful for me, and I'm going to ask you like a few times today to maybe interact and give me your feedback. So first thing, we're going to focus on the TOEFL Ibt because people know it, people maybe are scared of it, people don't maybe want to take this step yet, they feel that they're not ready. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. So first of all, what is TOEFL? So TOEFL is an abbreviation. Abbreviation meaning that we take a sentence and then we take the first letter of every word and we make one word and it becomes TOEFL. So it's an abbreviation of Test of English as a Foreign Language. So this is something that we need to focus on. It's a test of English as a foreign language. It means that native English speakers do not take the TOEFL. Okay, so it measures your English language skills. This is the main purpose of the TOEFL. They want to see if you are able to speak English, especially in, not just speak, use English in an academic environment. So if you go to a university abroad, for example, will you be able to communicate in English? Okay, read, write, speak, and listen, understand, take down notes, and all of these good things. So this is basically what the test is about. TOEFL is highly reputable. It is accepted by more than 11,000 universities around the world. I have never met a university that doesn't accept the TOEFL score. So yeah, more than 11,000 universities around the world. And in more than 150 countries around the world. This, of course, includes Egypt, but it includes also countries like the United States, like Canada, like the UK, like all the countries in Europe, and maybe, I don't know, Russia, China, okay? So yes, it's accepted in more than 150 countries around the world. Also, something that you need to know about the TOEFL, that it is valid for 2 years. And this may explain like the thing that I mentioned in the beginning, that I have taken the TOEFL 3 times. And that's because my score expires after 2 years, and that's normal for all test takers. So whenever I needed the score again and it has expired, I just take the test one more time. The content of the test itself is 100% academic. So it means that in the test, you're going to get reading passages that you may find in books in universities. You would hear a conversation that would normally happen in university, or you would see maybe an announcement in a university, but you're not really going to hear, for example, a conversation between two people in a restaurant. This is not the topic of the test. Okay, so it is 100% academic. Okay. And another thing, the score of the TOEFL, you are awarded a score between 0 to, I hope not, no one is going to get a 0, between 0 and 120. 120 is the highest possible score that you can get. Okay, and I'm happy to say that one time I actually trained a student. I gave the course to a student and she scored 119. And that is actually higher than the highest score I've ever gotten. My highest score was on a test that I've taken in 2015, and that was 115. Still a pretty high score, okay? But yeah. So we help students get a high score, but also something that I have to mention is that there isn't a pass and fail score. So if you get, for example, 45, you didn't fail. If you get 75, you didn't fail or you didn't pass. There isn't pass or fail. The thing is, when you think about the TOEFL, you need to think about your target score. What do I mean by target score? For example, you're applying for universities abroad, and they say that the minimum score that you need to get is 85 out of 120, a very common number. So maybe you can aim to get 95, and that is 10 marks above the minimum. So that would be your target. Okay, maybe some universities would require you to get a minimum of 100 out of 120. So your target can be, for example, 105 or 110. Okay, so you need to know your target in order to go to the test and know how to get this target. And it helps us teachers to know how to help you to get to that target. Of course, our aim as teachers to help you get the highest score possible. Okay, and I'm happy to say that most of my students get more than 100 in TOEFL, but also knowing the target is very helpful. Okay, so let's have an even closer look on the test itself. Now, something important that you need to know about the TOEFL test, that it has recently changed. And what do I mean by that? That in August 2019, the test has changed. So you need to be careful with that, especially if you're going to prepare on your own. You need to know the differences between the old test and the new test. And can you prepare on your own? Absolutely. But just know the difference in materials between the old test and the new tests. Just to make it short, you can use the old materials to prepare for the new tests, but you need to be aware of the changes. Okay? In a nutshell, how does the new test look like? It is less in time. So in the old test before August 2019, the test used to take more than 3 hours and a half. So it's about 3 hours and 45 minutes. That's a lot of time. Now the new test, it is shorter. It has less questions, less tasks, and it's shorter. It takes around 3 hours and 15 minutes. 3 hours to 3 hours and 15 minutes. So, and that is with the break. Okay, looking at the sections, the Toefl Ibt has 4 sections. The first section is reading, and the time you either get 54 minutes or 72 minutes, depending on how many passages you get. You may get 3 passages or 4 passages. If you get 3 passages, you're going to get 54 minutes. If you get 4 passages, you get 72 minutes. And for every reading passage, you get 10 questions with a total of either 30 questions or 40 questions. This leaves you with about 18 minutes for every reading passage to answer 10 questions. So you need to be aware of the timing. So you read the passage and you respond to questions. Followed by the reading, you get the listening. In the listening, you either get 45 minutes or 57 minutes, again, depending on the numbers of lectures and conversations that you get. For every lecture, you get 6 questions. For every conversation, you get 5 questions. And then, yes, you just listen to the lecture or conversation and you answer the question. And then you get an optional break for 10 minutes. My advice is always take the break, because you would have been spending about 2 hours, less than 2 hours, answering questions. You need a break, so take this break. It's very, very, very beneficial. And then you get the speaking section, which is going to be for 17 minutes, the total, okay? But actually, the speaking time, the time that you're going to get to speak, is basically 4 minutes and 45 seconds to the dot, exactly, okay? You get 4 tasks. In the old test, you had 6 tasks. In the new test, you have 4 tasks. So 2 tasks from the old tests are canceled. For more information about that, you can either contact us, or you can also visit the official website of Toefl, which is ets.org, to check that information. Okay, the last section is the writing section. This section is the only section that hasn't changed. And you get 50 minutes to answer 2 tasks. One task is going to be for 20 minutes, and the other task is going to be for 30 minutes. So this is something in nutshell, and it's very, like, to talk about this in detail, we would have more time, but I just wanted to put it out for you and maybe have a discussion on the following question with you. So what do you think? What are the challenges that you face to reach your target score? So what are the challenges that you face, guys? You can either open up the mic and talk to me. I love to hear your voices. Or you can type in the chat box if you're a little bit shy. And I'm going to read everything and answer to it. So what are the challenges? What do you think are the challenges for you to reach the target score? Anyone? Time management. Yes, that's a big one, actually. Yeah, time management. Okay. Stress, that's another one. Yes. Okay. So stress, it's like what you said earlier, Ahmed. You don't know how to talk, you forget everything, and you forget the words. Yes, how can we come up with this? Okay. Limited vocabulary is another one. Yes. Okay. Good one. Okay. What else? What are some challenges to reach your target score? Are you afraid of taking the test, and why are you afraid? The writing is so difficult. Yes, okay. That's also, yeah, that can be a thing, especially if you're not trained on how to come up with ideas and how to organize your essay and like writing. Yes, arranging time in the reading passages. Yes, I agree. Actually, I'm going to share with you a little secret. For me, the hardest section is the reading section. Yes, I get high scores, and yes, I've been teaching TOEFL for 6 years, but there is still like one hard section. And for me, even though I do very well in the reading, but the hardest section for me on the test is actually the reading section. So I totally get it. Yeah. Okay. So let me talk about some challenges with you guys. And when I speak about these challenges, I wanted to really like focus on them when you are preparing for the test. So if you're going to prepare for the test on your own, unfamiliar reading topics. Yes, Rana, definitely. So when you prepare for the test, I want you, like, even if you prepare on your own, I would like you to pay attention to these in order to improve them. Okay, so one of the big ones that I've actually dedicated a whole slide on is basically timing. Every second in the TOEFL, not every minute, but every single second in the TOEFL matters. So to give you an example of how it looks like, okay, this is, for example, a question that you may get in the speaking, in the first task of the speaking, or you may get in the second task of the writing. The question says, and this is, by the way, this is from the ETS website, and it's a real TOEFL question. I did not make this up. It says, Some people enjoy taking risks and new things. Others are not adventurous. They are cautious and prefer to avoid danger. Which behavior do you think is better? Explain why. So if this is a speaking question, they are going to give you 15 seconds to prepare and 45 seconds to respond. And in the 45 seconds, you have to give your reason, you have to give your opinion, you have to give your reasons, you have to give examples, and you have to give a nice conclusion. So can you imagine that? 15 seconds to prepare and 45 seconds to respond. By the way, this is easy to do if you train for it. You train to it, it is super easy. And this actually becomes one of the easier topics, one of the easier tasks for students to cover, but it's just when you know the strategy. If this was a writing question, you're going to be given 30 minutes to write from 450 to 500 words about the topic. Okay, so you can see that the timing itself is a challenge. And just to tell you, like with the writing here and how I tell my students to divide the time, 30 minutes may seem, yeah, that's a lot of time, but really it isn't. What I train my students to do, and this is something that you can take home, is basically to brainstorm ideas in 3 minutes. Only 3 minutes to brainstorm ideas and to come up with an outline for your essay. 5 minutes only to write the introduction. 6 minutes to write the body paragraph number 1. Another 6 minutes to write body paragraph number 2. And then you are left with about 3 minutes to write the conclusion and 2 minutes to revise. That's not really a lot of time. But with practice, trust me, it really, really, really makes sense. Okay, so I wanted to really be aware of this. And timing is a common thing that you really need to take care of while you're doing the TOEFL. But these are just 2 examples. And I would say there are 2 of the most extreme examples on the test. Okay, so this is one thing. And also other challenges. So other challenges to overcome, in my opinion, one of the things that I always like my students to address is understanding the test and using suitable strategies. What do I mean by this? You need to understand what the test wants from you in order to get a high score. Basically, understand the questions, okay? And use a suitable strategy for every question. So for every question, there is a strategy in order to tackle it in the shortest amount of time, but also carefully, so we can basically speed up the process. Also, language errors. Okay, this is again something that you really need to tackle. Okay, and maybe in order to get this, you may need to get the help of someone whose English is strong, and maybe someone who has taken the test before. Okay, also not knowing where and how to practice. So where are the materials to practice and how to practice? There are some useful materials, not a lot, but there are some useful materials in the official site of the TOEFL in the ets.org. You can check these out. But there are also other materials out there. Many of them are good and some are not so good. Okay? And also there's a question that maybe some of you can ask. Am I good enough? Should I pay for the test and go now? Will I get the score? These questions are very difficult to answer, right? So it's always good maybe to ask someone who has taken the test, and maybe they can do some assessment with you to see whether your skills and your language level is enough at the time being to take the test or not. Because in the end, you don't want to pay $160 in order not to get the score that you want, right? Okay, and again, one of the things that really many students struggle with is managing stress during the test. Okay, and this would come with practice. So you practice on and off, and the more you get used to the tests, the better you become and the better you manage the test. Something that I also always tell my students is work on your breathing. Okay, so when you are stressed and you think maybe, for example, you did badly in one question or one section, I would just say, okay, stop and take a deep breath. It really, really, really works wonder. This short, deep breath, and just collect yourself, okay, and just like, okay, proceed and remind yourself you can do this. You have prepared for this moment. You have prepared for the test. You are good enough. Some other things that you've said here, a few things is like when you have an unfamiliar reading topic, yes, you need to get familiarized with different spectrums of reading comprehension and also listening. Topics in different sciences like psychology. Psychology doesn't come that much, but maybe biology, a lot of archaeology, also things in the social sciences. We get lots of things in business, in arts, in literature. So so you can like read about these topics. Okay, there are many resources to read and listen about these topics. Oh, and some of you said, I have a question about the writing, how it is divided. Okay, good one, Nurhem. So the writing itself, it has two tasks. One task is integrated. You need to read an academic passage, and then you're going to listen to lecturer talking about this passage. And then your task in 20 minutes, you need to tell the lecturer's opinion about the passage that you read. So this is the first task. Okay, you're going to write the lecturer's opinion about the passage that you read. Okay, the second task is an open topic. They ask you about a familiar topic. Okay, and you have 30 minutes to write about. Okay, and what genre would be best to follow, persuasive or argument? So I would say it is most of the time is argumentative essays. Okay, that is in the second task. In the first task, you basically summarize. Okay, yes, Rana. Science, genetic engineering, biology, and astrology are the most common reading topics. Yes. Okay, thank you. All right. By the way, there's going to be time in the end for questions, so don't worry about that. So even if you have questions that I don't get to, let me know in the end. Now we're going to move to the two other tests that are also very common for us, the GRE and the Gmat. Have you heard about these tests before? Do you plan to take them? Do you know anything about them? The GRE and the Gmat? If you don't know, tell me you don't know.
No, never ever. No, never ever. Listen about it. Never ever.
Okay, yes, okay, cool. I'm going to talk about it. By the way, many people take them, and I'm going to tell you more about them in order for you, even in the future, especially if you want to study abroad. You're probably going to need one of these two tests, the GRE or the Gmat. Okay, so at least you would have an idea about what it is, and maybe if you find it in an application where you apply to study abroad, you wouldn't be like, what is that? Okay, you would have an idea about what it is. Okay, but thank you, Ahmed. I really like your energy, Ahmed. You're awesome. All right, so the GRE and the Gmat. Okay, so the GRE and the Gmat, they are kind of similar, but there are differences between them. So the first thing that we need to know about the GRE, it is used for admissions to graduate programs in the USA and many other countries. So GRE is basically like if you're going to do a master's or a PhD, especially in scientific programs like engineering, science, and even like in my field, which has to do with developing higher education. You're going to need the GRE to get in there, and it basically tests your readiness for graduate level studies. It sees that if you are ready to study a master's degree or a PhD degree. And unlike the TOEFL, this is not only for people whose English is a second language. This is for everyone. So even Americans who are native, they need to take the GRE or the Gmat, depending on the field, in order to join these programs. Okay, so this is for everyone. Okay, the difference is that the GMAT is a slightly different test, okay, with different division, okay, and it's used mostly for admissions to business programs in the United States. So if you want to study on other countries, by the way, one of which is basically the programs in Egypt. So if you need to take the MBA from, I don't know, the Arab Academy, or I don't know, the American University in Cairo, you're going to need to take the other test, the GMAT. Okay, and again, they test if you are ready to succeed in business programs. Okay, so what do these two tests test us? Basically in the same thing, but they have different weights. So in the GRE, they test your verbal, kind of like language, but not really. Okay, mathematical. So there's also a bit of math, a heavy bit of math. Okay, very important. They test your critical thinking. The TOEFL, they do not test critical thinking, not at all. But in the GRE, they test critical thinking, okay? And they also test your analytical writing. Are you able to analyze something and write something intelligent about it? So off the bat, the GRE and the GMAT, they are of more difficult level than the TOEFL, okay? The GMAT, they test basically the same thing: verbal, mathematical, critical thinking, and analytical writing. However, because the GMAT is really tailored for business schools, the mathematical part is a bit heavier and it's a bit more difficult than the GRE. The GRE, the verbal part and also the writing part is more. Okay, so depending on which. So if you're going to study engineering, GRE. If you're going to study, I don't know, something in social sciences, GRE. Okay, if you're going to study business, many business schools accept the GRE, by the way. But just to be on the safe side, you take the GMAT. Okay, these two tests are almost always a requirement in US universities. If you want to study in the United States, you have to take them. Also in Canada, I see like an increasing amount of universities and graduate programs asking for the GRE and the GMAT. And even like when I was applying for master's degree in Europe, by the way, I have a master's from Europe, some of them would ask me like, do you have the GRE? Which means that if you have the GRE, you have a better chance of getting a scholarship. So this is one way to also better your chances to get a scholarship. So more and more people are using the GRE or GMAT because what they found that people who score high on these tests really do well in universities. So if you take it and maybe there is money going for you from a scholarship, they would feel confident giving you this money. It's like, yeah, this student is going to do a good job. Okay, now both tests are valid for 5 years. The TOEFL is valid for 2 years, but these are valid for 5 years. The score system is different because they are different tests. So in the GRE, if you get like a 0, it's 130. In the verbal section, the highest score is 170. The quantitative is the same thing, between 130 and 170. And in the writing, you get between 0 to 6. Again, this is not a pass or fail test. This is like you just need to see the minimum score that the university requires and what is like the average scores of students on the test. The GMAT, the scoring is a bit different. So in the quantitative and verbal, you get a score between 200 to 800. 200 is like a 0 to 800. This is the highest score. The analytical reading is between 1 to 8, and the writing is between 1 to 6. Okay, so I told you that the test itself, both these tests, one of the things that they test is critical thinking. And it's like, again, there is no time to really, this is a very short session, and there is no time to really go deep into seeing like how this would work, but let's just get a taste. Okay, so This is a question that is called analysis of an argument. And this type of question appears in both the GRE and the Gmat. Basically what they do, they give you an argument, like the one that we see in front of us, and then they give you 30 minutes to see the part in red below here, to write a response in which you, okay, because I need to remove something from my screen in order to be able to read this completely. So you're going to write a response in which you discuss what specific evidence is needed to evaluate the argument and explain how the evidence would weaken or strengthen the argument. What does that mean? It means that, do you see the bit of purple here? You're going to read it. And this argument, the author, the person who wrote this, wants to ask us to do something, or wants to ask a government or a school or whatever to do something. But their argument, the reasoning, is flawed, is not good. What you need to do is read it and then see what are some evidence that are needed to evaluate the argument. So there are missing evidence and there are faulty reasoning. And this is where the critical thinking really comes. So let me actually read this for you in a minute. I just need to remove everything from my screen in order to be able to read it. Okay, so here they tell you here, the following report appears in a newsletter of the West Maria Public Health Council. Okay, so it is a report. Okay, let's see. An innovative treatment has come to our attention that promises to significantly reduce absenteeism in our schools and workplaces. A study reports that in a nearby East Maria, where fish consumption is very high, people visit the doctor only once or twice per year for the treatment of colds. Clearly, eating a substantial amount of fish can prevent colds, since colds represent the most frequent given reason for absences from school and work. We recommend the daily use of Ibt, a nutritional supplement derived from fish oil, as a good way to prevent cold and lower absenteeism. Okay, so I want to ask you guys, just give it a try. What are some weaknesses in this argument? What are evidence that we need in order to recommend this nutritional supplement? But basically, why is this argument weak? Can someone try to give me a reason? Complete silence. Do you want me to help you and tell you some? No specific numbers. Nice, Dina. Yes, they say more or less, but there are no numbers. Are these numbers significant or not? Yes. Okay, that's a good one. So these are some evidence. We really need like actual statistics. There are other factors that are missing. Yes, like what? What's some other factors that are missing? Like what? Be more specific. I like where you're going, Dina. Okay, so I'm going to tell you some techniques that I tell my students in order to get arguments. These are the most common fallacies that we find here. So, like household income. Interesting. Interesting factors. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of times with these types of questions, what they do is that they have a comparison between two things. Okay, but we do not know how these two things are similar or not, and we find this in this argument. For example, they have compared the town that we have, which is West Maria, or the town that they're in, and they have compared with East Maria. So they compared West Maria and East Maria. East Maria is nearby, but what are the similarities between them? Maybe they're not getting colds because, I don't know, people play more sports, or maybe there are less pollution, or maybe they have less population, or maybe they stay indoors more of the time. So we do not know if we have enough similarities between West Maria and East Maria. Okay, why did they zoom in on the fish consumption? They say that, okay, one of the common things that they also do a lot is that they say A is causing B, but maybe something else is causing B. So for example, here in this argument, they're saying high fish consumption is causing good health or less cold, right? But maybe something else is causing less cold, right? So this is again another weakness in this argument. Okay, there's also something else. They have made like fish consumption, which is fresh fish, similar to this daily nutritional supplement. Do they have enough in common? And really, like, is the reason behind having less cold fish consumption? You see that? So here we have like many fallacies. The most common one is what Dina here said. We need more numbers, more statistics. So we need to be careful with numbers here, like, I don't know, like more or less or something like that. Okay, we also need to be careful when they make comparison between two things, but we do not know if they are similar enough or not, like West Maria and East Maria. Also, especially when they say like A is causing B. Well, not really. Maybe something else is causing B. Right? Okay, so yeah, these are some of the things that we actually cover. And the very important thing about this question type is practice. A ton of practice. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so moving on. So I would ask you, like, just having a general taste of this test, what do you think are some of the challenges that you may face to get your target score? Yes, Ahmed.
Oh.
Hey.
Electricity cut off and it's coming immediately. And really, I try to listen. What do you do?
Ah, yes. Okay. Power outage, huh? Yes. Okay. Welcome back anyway. So math is a problem. Valid. It's super valid, Dina. Yes. Math can be a problem. I agree. And the thing is that with the math itself, and I haven't spoken a lot about the math because basically what I focus on is the writing and the verbal part, the English part. But speaking about the math, just to make it maybe a little easier for you, the level of math that you need in order to get a high score on the test is basically the math that we were taught in high school. So we need to brush back on the math that we have with high school. Okay, and there are some free resources in ets.org. They have this 100-page free book that has all the mathematical lessons, okay, that you need to cover, and some questions as well. So this is actually very cool. Okay, Ahmed, do you want to say something? Yes, okay. Rana is saying critical thinking skills. Yes, it's oh my god. Yes, Dina, we need to brush back in our on our math. Rana is saying critical thinking. Yes, critical thinking may seem daunting, but you know, if someone just points to you where to look, you're going to be an expert. It's going to click. You see that? So if I tell you, like, one of the common things that you get in the arguments are when they put like statistics that are not clear. So maybe when you read, you're going to look for statistics. Okay, when I tell you when they make comparisons without enough similarities, you're going to look for them. So what we usually do is that we point out to students the things that they look for, and they become experts. Like, I remember when I teach this, the last time I taught this, I taught it online a couple of months ago, and I just, like, the first time I showed my students the argument, there was complete silence, like the one that you gave me, basically. But when I gave them, like, the common fallacies to look for, I gave them about 5 or 7. The most common are the 3 that I just told you about. I gave them another argument, and they just, like, tore it apart. It was so easy for them. So believe me or not, you're not stupid, huh? No one is. You just, like, someone needs to point out what to look for. And once you know that, it becomes really easy, and you can do it in 30 minutes. Okay, let's see here. In the test, I think how to analyze the idea from the passage will be an obstacle. Yes, indeed. But, you know, when you get it, it becomes easy. It really becomes. So here the thing is that it comes with is basically practice. Okay, practice and getting used to the test. Okay, you may be the most intelligent person in the world, but if you misunderstand the test and what it wants from you, you may lose marks without really needing to. Okay, but trust me, guys, I don't want to scare you off. This is not hard, just needs a bit of training. Okay, so some of the challenges that I see here, the same thing with the TOEFL time management is a challenge. Okay, and again, understanding the test and using suitable strategies. This is something that you really, like, if you prepare this on your own, you need to understand the test well and understand suitable strategies. Okay, the website ets.org has a lot of those. Okay, but if you need extra help, again, you can Google, or you can come to us because we are really experienced with this. Okay, another challenge here that I really want to focus on is producing quality writing. Your writing has to be intelligent. Okay, it has to be well organized. It's not just about not having grammar mistakes or spelling mistakes like the TOEFL. We need to take it a little bit step higher and produce really high quality writing. So it's really good to be in touch with someone whose English is really good so you can look at your writing. Okay? Also, not knowing where and how to practice. Okay, fortunately, on the ETS website, there is a lot of materials to practice. And personally, as a teacher, I use these materials from the official book or even from the website that is, like, freely available to people. There are actually 2 full tests on the ETS website that you can take them for free. Okay, also developing critical thinking skills. Okay, and these are, by the way, these are easier than you think to develop. It's just someone to tell you where to look. And managing stress again during the test. Okay, so these are some of the things. Okay, so now let's see, how can we, Amideast, help you? Okay, so when Amideast instructors, including myself, by the way, I teach the TOEFL and the GRE and the Gmat. I'm currently actually teaching a TOEFL class that is going to finish next week. Are experienced with the tests. Okay, I have taken these tests. I know what they are, and many of the teachers that teach the test prep are also experienced with them. So you're not only taking talking to well-trained teachers who have taken training on how to teach those tests, but also many of them, not all of them, but many of them have taken the tests themselves and have gotten really high scores. Okay. Also, what we can give you strategies for every type of question that you face. Okay, let's see. Rana here. There are 2 sample exams that I personally found them very useful. Yes, Rana. So there are sample tests on the ETS website available for free. And by the way, ETS is not Amideast. ETS is the company that makes the test, and it's always a good source to go to. Okay. Also, something that is very helpful for us that we can do for you is giving you feedback. Giving you feedback, especially on the writing and in the speaking. Okay, we give feedback and we tell you ways that you can improve. But also, surprisingly, in the other sections with the multiple choice, we see your mistakes, we analyze why you have made these mistakes. And then we tell you ways to avoid these mistakes. So the feedback is not just for the speaking and the writing. The feedback are even for the multiple choice questions in the reading, in the writing, and in the verbal sections of the GRE and Gmat. Okay, so we see where your mistakes are, where your weaknesses are, and we tailor them. So for example, if someone is making mistakes because their vocabulary is not good, we actually give them vocabulary lists in the form of a game in order to memorize them to help them better with their vocabulary problems. Okay, so we see if you have a problem about concentrating during a reading or a listening, we give tips and tricks in order to overcome this. Okay, there is always a way. There is always a way. So given feedback, and we have trained so many students, and we're happy to say that our students have got really high scores. They're always surprised. Okay, but it's actually a good surprise. Okay, also what we can provide is quality practicing. Now I'm not here saying like quantity, like a big number of tests, which we have. Like we have a database of more than 50 tests. Okay, we have a lot of tests, but you don't need to answer 50 tests in order to get good at a test. Okay, maybe 5, 6, or 10 tests are more than enough. Okay, in order to get to your target score. We give quality practicing, and this comes hand in hand with the feedback itself. So here it's not about like, you know, just doing a test, making mistakes, and then doing another test and making the same mistakes, and then doing a third test and making the same mistakes, and then you go like, ugh, I don't know how to improve. This is where we come. We tell you how to improve and avoid these mistakes. Okay? Also, we really practice managing stress, especially with the speaking part and the writing parts, and also the reading and the listening. But we like give tips on managing stress, and as teachers, we are aware that every student is different. So in the classroom, it's not basically one tip fits all. It's basically different tips that fits different people. So we give tailored feedback and tailored practice, tailored, again, preparation for every student, depending on what they need. Okay, we're almost out of time, but I just want to tackle something else. I want to ask you guys, what do you think of online test preparation? Of course, because COVID-19, you know that we have shifted online. But I want to ask you, do you think it's a good idea or a bad idea? If it's a bad idea, please tell me. I would like to know it's a bad idea. But what do you think of online test preparation? Is it good? Do you feel like it or not really? Any comments?
Yeah, hi Reem.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much for this. It was very informative and great.
I'm glad.
I actually think online is a great way for us to learn. I mean, it's very diverse, and I think that if I need, if I need to take this test soon, I shouldn't wait till life goes back to normal, or because God knows when that's gonna happen, right?
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you never know when you're safe. So I think that this is an opportunity for those that actually want to take Toefl, GRE, or Gmat to study online, to open up their mind to something new. Maybe they'll test online, you know what I mean? So then that would be a practice for them.
Yes.
So yeah, I do believe it's very beneficial, and I'm sure with your guidance through it, it would be awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Reem.
Thank you. All right. So it's very interesting, and the tests like the TOEFL and the GRE are now available online, so you can take them, and you can take them at home. Imagine that you're taking this stressful test at home, so you can actually take them at home. Okay. Dina is saying it might be better for introverted people. That's interesting, Dina. But I'm glad that you mentioned this. The thing with our classes in Amideast, even if you're introverted, you are going to be forced to speak. and forced to write, forced to participate. We do not have silent people. Okay, like everyone is going to be forced to participate, and it's really funny. You think that when you have an online class, you're not, it's going to be something that you like what you have here. You are logged in, you see the instructor or the teacher, and you're just silent in the background. You don't talk to each other. No, I have students who have made friendships, and now they are like adding each other on Facebook, and they become friends through online classes. So even if you feel a little bit lonely, that can be a thing here. Okay, so with online classes, okay, why is it a good idea? First of all, it's because of safety. So honestly, like, even if which is, by the way, a possibility. If Amideast, for example, opens up in the future and we have face-to-face sessions again, it is still safer to take them online. Don't you agree? Just because, like, you're making a risk, and again, like, is it worth it or not worth it? We are providing, when it comes to teaching, we are providing really high quality teaching, and it's sometimes it's better than face-to-face. Okay, another advantage is that you can take them from anywhere. Okay, and I was actually surprised, the class of TOEFL that I'm teaching right now, I have, like, I'm from Alexandria, by the way, but I have students from Cairo, I have students from different governorates in Egypt, and I have a student from the United States. I'm actually teaching a student from the United States. She is in my class. So wherever you are, if you are in the United States, or you're even in Egypt, or anywhere, you can just take it from the comfort of your home. Okay, so this is again a very good advantage. Okay, all of the test preparation courses that we have are synchronous. And what do I mean by synchronous? It means that all the teaching and all the instructions happen online. Okay, do you need to do something offline? Of course, you need to practice. But I'm not going to ask you, or we're not going to ask you to read how to answer a specific question. We do all of that online, and we also practice a lot online. We take even full tests online, okay? But of course, you need to do an additional practice at home, okay? Also, with online, it's closer to the test environment. Especially right now, we have like the TOEFL at home and the GRE at home editions. So it's really close to what you would get when you take the course from home, you do the tests, practice tests at home, and eventually you're going to take the test from home. So it's very close to the tests, the actual test. It's also not an online lecture. When we prepare for the test, this is not a lecture. You participate, you join in, you practice. We do a lot of practice, especially with the writing. We write, like my students write essays live, and I see them when they enter letter by letter. Okay, I see them when they're thinking about something. I see them when they hesitate. I see them when they pause. So I actually see them while they're doing, and then we basically give feedback together to all the writing. Okay. And also high interaction using different technological tools. So we have a lot of interactions. We can have, like, I don't know, we can do some tests. We can have breakout rooms. We also do writing online together. And even like with myself, I actually write essays on my students, and they see me through the process itself. So it's very nice. And to me, like, I taught TOEFL and GRE face-to-face, and I taught them in online. And I like the online, especially with the writing. I noticed that with the writing, my students are actually doing much better in the online, which is basically a very surprising thing. Okay, so this is it for today. But before I leave you, I just want to give you a testimony from one of our students. So in one of our students who took the online class recently, with this student, she actually started to take the TOEFL in person, and then COVID-19 happened, Amideast closed, so we shifted online. So we continued the course online. And this is her feedback. She thinks that I think they are great, and the teacher makes them pretty fun. Personally, I benefit from them as much as I did before. So she basically said that she benefited as much as she did in class, and this is a student who started the TOEFL preparation in class and then moved to online. So what I can guarantee for you is like we are reaching at least the same quality that we have face to face, which is pretty high, if not better. Okay, so this is it for today. Okay, so I want to thank you, and I would like to take some questions. Maybe we can take 10 minutes of questions if you have any. Do you have any questions for me? And by the way, if you want to ask about any information regarding the courses that we offer or the other services that we offer, you can go to our Facebook page and maybe message people on Facebook, or you can give us a call in the what do you call that, in our call center, or you can send us an email. Yes, thank you, Nurhan. Ahmed, would you like to say something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about if I want to take Toefl Ibt? What do you think? Is already it's very already to me.
For you, what? Your voice is breaking. I cannot hear you. Thank you, guys. Ahmed, I cannot hear you at all. Thank you, Ali. Okay, I'm happy you find this useful, Rana. Thank you. Okay, hearts to you too. Okay, Ali, Ahmed, unfortunately, I cannot hear you. I think I've lost you. Okay. So
I am coming.
yes, okay.
Well, but bad thing is about online courses. Net in Egypt is very bad.
Okay, very valid, very valid. And I totally hear you, Ahmed. I totally hear you and get you. I mean, you have to understand with the COVID-19 situation, what happened here is that people switched from face-to-face to online just like that. Very easy, like very abruptly.
I think good thing is about me because I am very lazy.
No, do not say that. But what happened is like for most teachers, they have switched to online teaching without any training, without anything, without any preparation, without any training. But I would say like give us a try in Amideast. Amideast is different. We have actually taken it slow. So when we closed, we did not start immediately with the online. We waited because of course we cannot give any students like something that is of low quality. We waited for 1 month, and in this waiting time, what we did was basically we have gone through training. So I took training like for more than 12 hours of training, and then after the training we did demos. Basically it's like a test for teachers if we are ready for or not. Meantime, also Amideast experimented with different platforms that we can give the online courses in order to arrive to the best platform that is suitable for our students. So I would say that we have become ready. So we did not switch to online immediately. We took like a pause for like a month in order to prepare. And I would say that our teachers are ready. As for the students who are lazy, trust me, we make you work. Trust me. My students, like, I make them cry, okay? Well, not literally, but I really make them work. No one, trust me, in my classes, no one attends from their phone. Everyone attends from the laptop or their computer. Why? I make them work. No one is attending from bed. Trust me. They are there and I see them. Okay? No, I make you work. So if you're lazy, maybe it's a good way to come to us. Okay? We're going to make you work. Okay.
No work it.
Yes. And it's fun. I mean, if you're locked home and you're not doing anything, I mean, I don't know, it's motivational.
I am watching TV.
You're what?
I am watching TV.
Yes, you're watching TV. You're watching TV because this is a lecture. This is a lecture. But if you are taking my test prep, trust me, you're not going to be able to do this. Trust me. You want to be.
Okay.
You're doing a lecture, and most of the time you are silent. So yeah, and I do not see you. But when you are taking a class, it's a different story. I'm telling you. All right. But that's a valid thing, and I'm glad that you brought this up. Okay. Any other questions from you guys? I guess not. Okay, so if no one has any question, I would like to thank you very much for being here. And remember, we are very active on Facebook. So if you have any questions, you can send us that. If you have more questions, you can send it by email or call the call center. By the way, follow our Facebook page of Amideast. We have a lot of free events. Okay, sometimes
I want to ask it one question.
Yes,
about
sure.
Toefl.
Yes.
If I do Toefl, but the degree is very not like me. What happened about that in Amideast?
What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't understand the question.
If I want 60%, but my degree 50. What I do then? يعني, if I want in the if I wanted I want make high degree.
Yes.
What I want.
Okay, so this would come again from seeing what your weaknesses are. So I'm going to tell you something, Ahmed. When I personally give the test preparation, okay, and by the end of the course, okay, I give my honest feedback to students. So sometimes, Ahmed, I'm going to be very honest with you. With some students, I know that their target score, for example, is 95. But I know because of their level of English, they're not going to get the 95. So I tell them quite honestly, do not take the test now because the test is expensive, right? So I tell them quite honestly, do not take the test right now. You are going to spend 4 months and you're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. I give you specific tips and specific tasks in order to do outside the test preparation in order to improve your English. Because again, it is a test that shows your level of English. So if you do not have the right level, then maybe it's not the right time to go to the tests, okay? In the test prep, I train you for the tests. I improve your language just a little bit, but mainly I train you for the tests. But if your language level is not there, I'm going to give you, every student is different. So I'm going to give you, for example, specific things to do in order to improve your score. And I'm going to see your reasons. So for example, you told me that I got 65 out of 120. This is not going to be enough for me to give you feedback. I'm going to tell you, okay, what did you get in the reading? What did you get in the listening? What did you get in the speaking? And what did you get in the writing? In order to see where you are weak, and then we tackle each and everything. So your question itself is a big question, okay, that would need personified feedback and guidance. Do you see what we're doing here? So yes, so we do not leave you like that. It's not like when we finish the course, goodbye. And if you get your score or you don't get your score, I don't care. This is not it. I personally care a lot about my students, and I would say like instructors and Amideast really care about their students, and I really do not want you to waste time or money. So I give you really tips for you. Okay, but great question,
Okay.
Ahmed. And there's always a way. There is always a way. Trust me. And I would tell you something. My English was not like that. I improved my English on your own. So I'm kind of like you. I'm Egyptian, normal schooling. My English was not like that, and I improved my English on your own. So I know how to improve language. Okay, so we have here, Kirill is saying, can you tell us how to increase our vocabulary? A very good thing. Okay, so increase your vocabulary, there are different ways. Okay, so what you can do is basically like the thing that saved my life, but it would take time, is reading. Read. And read books. Do not just read articles that you get on Facebook. Reading is really, really, really good to increase your vocabulary. But if you are taking the test very soon, let's say, for example, you want to take the test next month or 2 months, reading alone is not going to be quick enough in order to get vocabulary. So Maybe one way that you can do, there is a game online. There is an application that you can download. It's called Memrise. If you look for Memrise on your App Store or Google Play, whatever phone that you have, I just wrote the spelling of it in the chat box. Okay. This is basically an app that helps you memorize words to learn languages. But you're going to find that there are lists for the most common words that appear on the TOEFL, or the most common words that appear on the GRE or the Gmat. So maybe, and it's a game, by the way, just register for these courses, okay, and memorize them, okay? But really, reading. And it's not just for me. It's like reading really saved my life, and it's the reason why I'm teaching English. It's really good to improve your vocabulary and improve your language. But if you want something that is quick, I highly recommend this application, Memrise. And it's for free, by the way.
Yes. Every day I do it, study with by words to keep it, but really tomorrow I forget it.
This is why reading is the key, because if you memorize words on their own, you forget them. But if you see words in a story, you're going to remember them. And this is why I say reading. Reading. Really important. Okay, Ahmed, Hassanin, I see that you have your mic open. Do you want to say something?
Well,
no, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
بحسبك أحمد إنستنك أحمد حسن.
No, Hassanin. Yes, Ahmed Hassanin. Yeah, Ahmed.
Hello?
Okay, yes.
Well, I think that what you've stated just right now is very amazing and stupendous, especially when it comes to how to upgrade your level in English. For something like enriching vocabularies is very important, especially if you are going to stage for IELTS or TOEFL exam.
Yes.
And I think that practice makes perfect.
Yes.
If you when you read, you gain lots of words, but the point is how to deploy, how to employ these words, how to use these words in the way that is really preferred. And this is the bottom line here.
Yes.
This is the most important thing.
I agree.
Is
you know,
employ words as much as possible, especially with someone who you think that is better than you when it comes to mastering language.
Yes. Okay? Yes, it's a very valid point, but it can be a challenge, especially in Egypt, because like you need to speak English with someone, right? But who?
We lack practice here.
Yes.
And we have some points which seems to be a little bit, unlikable.
Unlikable?
Yeah, like for example, pointing mistakes on others.
Yes.
So others are going to be afraid a little bit, are going to be shy when they speak. Consequently, they are going to make lots of mistakes. Okay, so they're doing their best in order to execute the whole conversation in order not to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And this
is not good.
Yeah.
Because they speak
less. Here lies the point.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to tell you a couple of things that came to my mind. Okay, so when it comes to the first thing, I have to speak about Amideast because I work in Amideast. When it comes to this fear of making mistakes, in Amideast, in our classes, we create a safe environment. And what I mean by a safe environment is an environment where you feel comfortable.
Convivial and congenial atmosphere.
Yes, so you feel comfortable to talk and make mistakes, and we actually celebrate mistakes. Like when someone makes a mistake, it's like, yes, thank you for doing this. I was waiting for this. Many people make this mistake. Okay, so we make this like safe environment. But the challenge here is like practicing, because again, like to be honest with you, classes which they would provide, they're really good, I have to say, but they are not the end of the road of improving your English. You have to take your own education into your own hand, and I have to be honest with that. Okay, I'm going to come to you, Muhammad, in a bit, and I see also Muhammad Ali, you have a question. I'm going to get to that in a bit. So you need to kind of like take your own initiative and your own self-learning. And I remember when I was in university, I had a problem when it comes to language, especially when it comes to grammar. And one of my professors told me, Reem, write every day. Start a journal and write every day. And I did just that. And you wouldn't believe how that helped me. It helped me start speaking in English, and now I actually can speak in English all the time because of the simple fact that I started to read a lot, and then I started to write every day. Even if I write 3 lines or 1 paragraph, I don't have to write a page, okay? And that has done so much for me, so much. Of course.
That will make wonders.
Yes, I know. So this is an advice that I would give you anyway. You can start by tonight, okay? And you can just write, okay? And maybe write about a movie that you just watched, or maybe about this webinar and your experience, or you can just write about what you learned from this webinar, or a movie, a book, or an argument that you had with your family, whatever, how you feel about the COVID-19. So just writing, it really, really helps.
Right. I totally agree with you.
Hey,
I totally agree with your perspective.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Muhammad.
I have a question that
sure.
I came here late, so I'm asking if there another session in your time.
Okay. So good for you. It's like something for you to know. This session is recorded and it's going to be available soon on YouTube. So you're going to be able to watch it. Okay. And
okay. How can I get the YouTube link?
So you're going to find the link to the YouTube on this page that I have right now. If you search on YouTube, Amideast Egypt, you're going to find our YouTube channel. But this is going to be uploaded, like give it a few days, and it's going to be uploaded on YouTube. So you're going to find it there. That's one thing. Another thing, we always do free sessions all the time on different topics. So keep following us on Amideast on our Facebook page, and when we announce this. But great question. Okay, I'm going to. Yes. Right. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to take the last question from Muhammad Ali, and he says, do I register on Toefl, for example? I finished to prepare course first, like general? I don't quite understand your question, but what I think you're asking is, do you take the preparation course first and then register for the Toefl or not? Or you just register and then take the test? Is this what you mean?
Yes, yes, exactly. As you know that if you are going for preparing for any English course, we have to doing my placement test as first, and we are our level. So we are finished general, conversation, intermediate, upper intermediate, advanced, and after that we be able to go launch with English. So if I have to prepare for TOEFL or Gmat or whatever, I have to be preparing something like that. Actually, must be finished general from Cambridge or conversation levels or not. I'm not sure.
Okay, very good point. So in Amideast here, we have a policy that if you want to take the test preparation for TOEFL or GRE or GMAT, you have to be at least an intermediate level, if not an upper intermediate level. We do not accept people who are lower than that, because basically we're going to be stealing their money. Right? It's not going to make any point. So we take them from the intermediate, upper intermediate, mostly upper intermediate, but we sometimes also take it from the intermediate. Now, why intermediate and not advanced when you finish all the courses? Because many universities here in Egypt are requiring TOEFL. And the scores that they ask for in TOEFL in Egyptian universities, they are not that high. So if you are in intermediate level, with our preparation, you're going to get more than the minimum score. So this is why it is open for the intermediate students, okay? But if you want to study abroad, Muhammad, I would recommend that you would finish like upper intermediate or advanced before you think about the test preparation in order to get your target score, because especially if you're thinking about the master's and PhD, you need to score more than 100. And this is basically an upper intermediate level, not advanced, upper intermediate level. So to give you an idea, my level is mastery, and I got 115 out of 120. Okay, which is an excellent score. Upper intermediate will get 100. You can do that with good preparation. Okay, so it really depends on what you want to do. So I have taught people from the intermediate level, their English is not perfect, but their target score was basically 65. And after the preparation, I was just told them like, go to the test and you're going to get the score that you want. And they do and get higher than 65. So this is why we keep it open. But lower than intermediate, we do not accept. Does that answer your question?
So, yes, exactly. So actually, I would like to prepare.
Yes?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Sorry for that. Actually, I my next level is advanced intermediate for conversation level 5.
Okay.
So I have only two levels to complete that. I think that it doesn't interpret it with me if I think to complete with TOEFL.
You can take the TOEFL, I think, at this level. And hearing from your speaking, I think you can take the TOEFL if you want to. But my question for you, Muhammad, why do you want to take the TOEFL?
Actually, TOEFL, it will be assist me for academic things. Actually, I going for register several times in my master in my university, and I will be not have enough time to preparing for TOEFL because my actually.
So you're taking it for university.
Yes, actually, the bureaucracy is very bad. Actually, I actually to open the time for register master and the closing the time just only 2 weeks. So I must be have prepared for TOEFL in 2 weeks.
Exactly.
It's not enough. You must
and
be
I would say
for
also
that
book the test. Book the test first, because so you need to go to the website ets.org to book the test, because you may not find a place within the time that you have. And bear in mind that the TOEFL needs 10 days in order to get out. So you
actually 2 years ago, no, sorry, it's 4 years ago. 4 years ago, it's make a problem with me with my professor assistant in Alexandria University. He is responsible about registration for a master because the opens period and the closet. And when I going for register for exam in TOEFL in Amideast, I don't find any seat available.
Exactly, and that's not the problem with Amideast. That's a general issue anywhere, because we have limited time in order to provide quality. It's limited amount of students.
Yes, and doctor is also very tough, and he is not be able to provide me any exception to waiting the next week for any seat available for exam. So it's putting me in very bad situation.
So
in another way, he provide exception for another whatever. But for
so if you want to do the masters here in Egypt, I would say like you can start preparing for the test right now, either on your own or with us, whatever you would like to prefer. Okay, but I would say like at your level, you're going, especially if it's a master's here in Egypt, you are going to get the score that you want. This is my assessment. And you can choose to prepare it on your own or prepare it with us. Okay, but
I work on that anyway, but I have to finish first my conversation levels because I need it for my work. Okay.
Yes.
To be finished that I did all a long term about that, a long shot. So I just have 2 levels. So for myself, I have to prepare for TOEFL for sure. Yeah.
Okay, excellent, good job. All right, so we're out of time right now, and I want to thank everyone again for being
have another question, please.
We're out of time. Can you send the question by email? And
I'm sorry. I'll wait Muhammad to finish.
Okay, very quick.
Okay, how can I complete my result when I practice on TOEFL IBT score? It's hard to know how I.
We have our way. We have our way. We have our way. We can give you like assessment with scores that are not official, but we have our ways. We do.
Yeah.
We have our ways. All right.
All right.
But we have our ways. Okay, but we're out of time. Thank you very much for attending today's webinar. It's going to be available soon on YouTube. Okay, so make sure to watch it if you've missed any part of it. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. One day or the other. See you virtually. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Reem. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. But I want to ask you one question.
We're out of time.
How many hours do you need to improve my language?
That's